Hey there, I'm excited to show you a new way to bind off that might be perfect for you if you sometimes struggle with getting your bind off a little too tight or a little bit too loose. The bind off can make or break a really good sweater, and it can also affect the way it fits. It can also affect things like the sleeve cuff and other things like that. So we're going to show you today the Russian bind off. It's really simple to do, just takes a couple of steps, and it's actually faster than a traditional bind off. Once you get the hang of it, you can get going pretty quickly because it actually cuts out one of the steps. Even if you're an experienced knitter, even if you're a beginner, this technique is something you can probably use in your knitting, and I would love for you to give it a try on a swatch after you see how to do it. To start, knit the first stitch like normal and slide it off the left needle. Then slide it back on to the left needle, and you'll keep this right needle inserted, or if it slips out, just insert it as if to purl. And then what we're going to do is keep it through this first stitch and then slide it into the second stitch as if to knit. So what we're doing is creating this little crisscross. That's what it should look like if you've done it correctly. Then wrap your working yarn and bring it through that little crisscross underneath. So we've both knitted and bound off at the same time. Then take your single stitch from the right needle back over to the left, and we're going to repeat the process again. Insert the right needle as if to purl, and then into the second stitch as if to knit. Make sure you get that nice crisscross. Wrap the working yarn, bring it through, slide it off. Now you're going to do this all the way across your row to the last stitch. And that's how you do it. It's pretty quick and easy. Once you get going, it actually goes really fast. Now, you'll want to use this anytime that it's not super urgent that you bind off in pattern. If the pattern requires you to bind off in pattern for some reason, then you may not want to do this because this is just binding off in knit. However, if you're really struggling to get a bind off that feels comfortable and doesn't look too sloppy or too tight, then you're going to love this because it self-regulates. So you don't have to be the one to sit and regulate how tight or how loose it is. You do have a little bit of control because of the tension of the yarn. And I'm a continental-ish knitter, so I'm holding the working yarn in my left hand. This can work just fine for you, even if you hold the yarn differently. But as you get across the row, now I'm going to stop. I'll stop here and just let you see how it looks. So it creates a springy, tidy little bind off, and it's all bound off, like I said, in knit, but it'll help prevent you from getting a bind off that's too tight and too stretchy, too loose, all the different little obstacles we run into with binding off. This one's pretty slick. So give it a try on a swatch, compare it to your traditional bind off and see if you like it. It might be something you're going to want to use on future projects. Think of all the things you're binding off right now in your little knitting whips, and maybe one of them or more or all of them will benefit from this nice, even little Russian bind off. Give it a shot.